Hi everybody and welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is my second video, and as you can already see in the title, it's going to be all about my base. I have absolutely no makeup on, so I'm going to tell you exactly how I apply my foundation, primer, powder, everything. A lot of you were asking after my previous video how I apply my Srobe Cream and how I apply my Mercier powder, so I just said that I'd incorporate them into something that maybe you can learn a few more tricks and tips from. And just on that note as well, while I'm speaking about my previous video, thank you so much to everyone for supporting it so far and supporting the channel and just liking and commenting and sending me nice messages and everything. I really appreciate it, and I didn't expect such a great response from me. It's really lovely, so thanks so much. I'm not going to go on about that anymore like need you, but I just wanted to say thank you. And yeah, I hope you liked this video as well. I didn't really know how to go about this one, how to film it. I know a lot of people do like voiceovers and things like that, but to be honest, I have no idea how to do that yet. And I kind of wanted to do it like in real time so that I could tell you why I use it, or like why I do this particular thing with that product, and you know, just make it a bit more personal. So yeah, I'm going to get straight into it. As you can see, I have absolutely nothing on my skin. I just put moisturizer on. I like to do that like a little bit before I start my makeup, just so it's kind of settled into the skin. And the one I used today is the Clinique Moisture Surge. I really like this one. I've actually already finished a full pot of it, and I didn't actually buy another one because I have a few other ones that I just wanted to use up, but Erica was giving away this, so I stole it off her and I'm hooked again now. It's really nice one for underneath your makeup and so hydrating to it. And the first product I'm going to be using is my primer, and I am using the Smashbox Photo Finish Foundation Primer. A lot of you have probably already heard of this one. It is quite popular. I got it back in June and I have been quite impressed with it, in fairness. I'm going to apply this first anyway. I always apply this one with my hands, it's just the easiest, and just make sure to wash your hands if you're applying your primer with them, because yeah, obviously if you're doing other jobs before your makeup, you might get bacteria on your skin, and that will cause a breakout. So yeah, always just a little amount all over the skin, kind of focusing in on the nose and the forehead and the chin, which would be my most oily area. So yeah, that's that done. Next up is my foundation and my Srobe Cream, which I'm going to mix together. And the foundation I'm going to go for today is my MAC Studio Fix. You've probably maybe heard of me talk about this if you follow me on Snapchat. This is the one I use most of the time. I use it for nights out as well in a different shade. And this is NW13, and it's the second palest shade, and this is the one that matches my skin. I rarely have tan on unless I'm going out, so I find it very handy to have paler shades, and then I can just bronze it up or whatever. And they do have a paler one than this as well for NW10 if you feel like you're paler than me, because I know it is really hard to find pale shades and foundations. Like a lot of the companies don't do them, so yeah, FYI. And this is a matte finish, full coverage and matte. And that's why I like to mix my Srobe Cream in with this, is because I love how a matte finish wears on my skin, but I don't like exactly how it can look sometimes. It can be very kind of chalky, and that's why I just think it's beautiful mixed in with the Srobe Cream. And it also lightens a little bit, so although it still stays a full coverage, it doesn't feel as heavy on my skin. This is just a hydrating moisturizer, and it just gives you more of a glow. And you can apply this before your foundation as well, or you can just apply it in certain areas. It's completely up to yourself. I just like how it works when I mix the two together, so that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to apply them with my beauty blender. Please ignore the state of it. I did wash it and try to get the stains out, but it's really stained, and I will get a new one, I promise. But yeah, this is the Real Techniques beauty blender. I also have the normal beauty blender, which is this one, but which is also disgusting. I'm really sorry, Mom, if you're watching. I know you're going to be disgusted. Yeah, so kind of moving between these two. I only got this one recently enough. I got it in October, and I've been using this for, I'd say, maybe 2 years now, and I do prefer this one. Number one, it's half the price. I think this one's only like €7, and like, as far as I know, these are like $20, I think, something like that anyway. But it's not even about the price. I just think this is a better beauty blender, full stop. It has this flat side here, which is great for getting into like the little corners and around the eye and around the nose. Oh, do you hear the beeping? Like, it's so hard to film in this city. But yeah, overall I really love this one. I would invest in 2 of these before I'd invest in 1 of these if I was you. Everyone has different opinions though, so maybe try them both out. So yeah, I'm just going to pump a little bit of this one out in my hand. I usually just do like 3 pumps, and 3 kind of smaller ones. And then I am going to just put kind of 1 dollop of this next to it. So yeah, that's kind of the ratio I do. I usually end up adding, sorry now if you can't see that, I usually end up adding like more foundation afterwards because I really like coverage, but I always kind of start off with that much and build it up from there, and then I just kind of mix them on my hand with the beauty blender. And yeah, Bob's your uncle, there you have it. And then I just put a little bit kind of all over and just work it into the skin, so by bouncing the beauty blender against your skin, and that's how I feel I get a nice finish. So I'm just going to bring up the mirror here because I can't see what I'm doing. So yeah, there you have it. Now I'm just literally bouncing it in. I'm definitely going to have to add a little bit more foundation because it looks a bit light so far. I just think that the beauty blender is the best thing in the world for applying foundation. I could never go back to a brush again. Like sometimes I use a brush now and again and I'm like, oh my god, no, this is so much better. If you haven't experimented with one of these, I would really recommend you do. So yeah, I'm just going to add a little bit more because you know a girl's got to have her coverage. And yeah, straight away, like, it gives a really nice feel on the skin. It doesn't feel heavy, feels really glowy, feels really light, but I'm still getting, you know, that complexion that I want, that I'm trying to achieve. And just as a note, I always leave this area right here underneath my eye free of foundation. I just put concealer there because my concealer is also full coverage, and I just don't think you necessarily need both of them there because the skin is a lot thinner, and sometimes that's what can cause cakiness and, like, you know, foundation kind of sitting into the lines underneath there. So that's just a note in case you haven't heard of that one before. So yeah, that's my foundation pretty much done. Kind of always bring it down the neck a little bit. As you can see, I kind of don't go over my nose too much either. Don't worry about that because I do always go over the nose, the chin, the under eye, on top of my lids, and a little bit on my forehead with my concealer, so I never really worry too much about that. Next up is my concealer. So I actually use 2 concealers. So this one isn't really concealer, it's more of a colour corrector. It is the Prep and Prime from MAC. It is in Radiant Rose. Basically what this is, it's kind of like a concealer and a colour corrector mixed in one, with a slight hint of a highlighter as well, if that makes any sense. What it's supposed to do is highlight underneath the eye area or any other place on your face that you would like to be a little bit more glowy or highlighted. So yeah, the forehead here, or the nose, and the chin, underneath the eye, that's where I would usually apply it. And I don't do this every day, it's definitely not a necessity, but once you start using it, you kind of get addicted. It really does make a difference, especially for nights out as well, and photos and stuff, you can really notice it. But I am using it at the moment quite a bit because I do have like darker circles underneath my eyes and like a purpley tinge, and I just find that it kind of balances that out a little bit before I put it on my concealer. So basically kind of, you don't have to work as hard with your concealer to cover things because this kind of colour corrects first, if that makes sense. So I always put a little bit of this on first if I'm finding that my under eyes are a little bit dark, it's like a twisty, and I just do a little bit right underneath where it's kind of purple. Oh, sugar looks a bit too much. And then I do a little bit up here, a little bit on the nose, and a little bit down here, and actually sometimes I do up here as well on the upper lip. Yeah, I end up crazy now, but I go in then straight away again with my wet beauty blender. Sorry, I forgot to mention at the start, I wet my beauty blender before I big on the foundation. I actually wet it under the tap today because I was cleaning it, but usually I would wet it with my Fix Plus spray. I'll actually show you that after I finished blending this out, because I know a lot of you have wanted to see how I do that. But yeah, again, I just wet it under the tap today because I was cleaning it, but I do find the Fix Plus spray handier, especially when you're on the go or you just don't have a tap near you or something like that, and it's just quick and easy. But again, I'll show that to you in a few minutes. But for now, I'm just going to finish out blending this out. So yeah, as you can see, straight away it highlights and kind of brightens the area that you put it on. Like, you can see a massive difference up there already. So yeah, I pretty much use the beauty blender for everything. You'll see throughout the video I use it as well for my powder. So I'm not actually using that many brushes in my routine at the moment. Not until I kind of get to the blusher, contour side of things, highlight. So yeah, that's that all blended out. And then I go in with my Pro Longwear concealer, which I talked about the last day in my video also. This is a matte finish, and again, brilliant for underneath the eye, really good coverage, and it's just my favourite concealer ever. And again, I also use it for kind of highlighting, as I said in the other video, so that would involve me putting it on my forehead, my chin, and my nose. I also like to use it in the little corners here on my nose, because they get really red for me. So yeah, again, I just go, I put that on my hand as well, and I go straight in under the eye and just buff it out again like I've been doing with everything else, bouncing it off the skin. And I kind of like to bring that one up onto my temple so you can kind of see where the light hits. And I bring that onto my lid as well, just to cover all the veins and not so nice things. And that's actually what I use as my primer as well for my eyeshadow. I just set it with the powder at the end. So yeah, you don't really need any fancy eye primers really once you have a good concealer. Back into the other side. Buffing, buffing, bouncing, bouncing. I know maybe looks like I use a lot of product as well, but I just want to say again, I do love full coverage. You don't have to use as much as I'm using. I just really like to be fully covered up. Now I'm starting to feel my beauty blender is beginning to soak up some of the product, so I'm going to wet it like I said I'd show you. And I'm going to use my Fix Plus spray. So basically all I do is spray, spray, spray. And let it wet. And there I go again. I'm just going to put a little bit more on my forehead, just in the very center. Just another good trick as well is to bring your concealer down here underneath your cheekbone, so that's going to help your contour stand out a little bit more. Yeah, just right underneath the cheekbone, and again on the other side. So yeah, I always just like to go over then again and buff every single bit out, just to make sure everything is really seamless and there's no kind of extra product sitting on your skin. Especially with the eyes and the forehead, I find. That's kind of where things can sit into lines and bits and bobs like that. And there you have it. That is my foundation, all completely done. I know I look absolutely ridiculous. So next up, I'm going to do my powder. And this is something that a lot of you wanted to see, so I'm glad I'm finally able to show you. Very simple. I go in again with my beauty blender, which I know might sound a bit crazy to some of you because, you know, usually you use a brush with powder, and trust me, I always did as well. But I saw someone on YouTube using a beauty blender with it, and I just said I'd give it a try, and to be honest, I kind of have not looked back. So yeah, the powder comes like this. You don't want to make too much of a mess, so I always kind of like to put a little bit. Oh, seriously, if you could see this right now, like I just spilled powder all over myself. Why do bad things happen to good people? Oh. Right, I'm gonna have to go get the hoover. BRB. Okay, so take 2 of the powder. All hoovered up, crisis averted. Don't try this at home, people. Anyway, as I was saying, you don't want to waste the product, unlike me. So I usually, I'm sorry, trying to hold this mirror here. I usually just put a little bit into the cap, like so, if you can see, and work with that then. And what I do is I dip my beauty blender in, pick up just enough product, and I literally tap that on top of my under eye concealer. And you don't want to rub it in, you just want to tap it in, just like you'd apply your foundation. And keep doing it until it's kind of seamless and feels really smooth and silky. And again with the other side, I'm just doing the exact same thing, tapping it in. My nose, I do the same thing. And I basically just put it over everywhere I put the concealer, because the rest of my skin doesn't really need it. And my #1 trick with this product is to put it underneath where you're going to contour, because that's going to carve out your contour and make it really prominent and make it look really sharp. So what I do is I put a little bit of extra product on it, and I literally kind of tap it onto the skin without buffing it in too much, and I let it sit there for a little bit. So I guess what you'd call that is baking. I don't let it sit there as long as most people would, because I'm too impatient, to be honest, when I'm doing my foundation in the morning. I just kind of let that side sit. I place this side, and once I have this side placed, then I go back and I tap this one out. And this one you can kind of do swift motions, but as you can see, like, that's going to really help make your contour stand out without even using that much product. And again on this side, I don't know if you can see that there now, but it already kind of gives the illusion that I have contour on, which is very handy. Last but not least, I just do my eyelids, and then they're all primed and ready to go for my eyeshadow, which I'm not going to do today, but I'll definitely have an eyeshadow tutorial coming up. And that's the skin done completely, and that's the main part, I guess. So if you can get that far, you're not doing too bad. I have my primer done, my foundation, Srobe Cream, my concealer, colour corrector, and my powder. So from here on in, then it's just whatever you like to add yourself. I always like to go in next with my contour, and today I'm going to use Harmony Blusher by MAC, which is like a really nice and cool toned brown. This is again a cult MAC product that I think a lot of people would swear by, and I'm applying that with the 168 MAC brush. This is like the contour angled brush, and I love how these work together. I particularly love this. I just think it is such a good contour product. If you're new to contouring, I would 100% recommend going to MAC and get someone to try it on for you, because it is a really nice one to start off with. It's a really good tone. It goes with a lot of different skin tones. For an example, like, I use this when I'm pale, but I also use it for when I have my tan on. I just build it up a little bit more. It's just the tone is really nice. It's not too warm or too dirty looking. It's just the perfect tone for giving you that kind of contour chiseled look without being too in your face. So I'm going to get right into it. I'm just going to pick up a little bit of product and tap off any of the excess. And how I like to contour, basically, very simply, I just swirl it around underneath my cheekbone, starting from the top of my ear here, working my way down. And for today's look, I'm not going too dramatic with my contour. I just want something simple that emphasizes my cheekbones a little bit, and because I feel like this kind of look could bring you to work, or could bring you shopping, or could bring you wherever you like. I will do something down the line that I do a more dramatic contour involving like cream products and things like that, but for today I just wanted to keep it very simple. And again on this side, same again. Start off by the ear, work my way down. And the furthest I kind of go is here. I wouldn't go any further than that. So just kind of at the end of your eye down. If you like measure that out. So right here, and bring your finger down. That's where I like to end my contour. That's the only area I like to focus on really when I'm blending it out. And again, just bring it up to the temple a little. And at this stage, I usually go back into my beauty blender again and just sharpen that up, making sure it's really prominent, and just blend everything out, make sure there's no harsh lines. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that now. And then I just go up on my hairline as well, just with whatever's left on the brush. I don't really add more at this stage. And then just buff it all out along the hairline and along the side of the temple, and again with the jawline. And this just kind of gives your face a nice shape. And here you have it. That is my simple contouring for everyday wear. So for today, yeah, I just wanted to show you something really simple when it came to contour, and that's why I'm only using one product. I usually for nights out would use a cream contour underneath my powder contour, which would be Harmony or a bronzer or something like that. But for everyday wear, all you need is something like this. And you don't have to go out and buy this one in particular. Use something you have at home. If you have like a bronzer or even like an eyeshadow sometimes works. Just make sure the tone is right. Don't let it be too cool toned, because that's when it starts to get dirty looking, and don't let it be too warm, because that's when it gets really orange. So yeah, just test out a few things at home and just invest in a good brush. That's probably the main thing with contour. Sometimes it's the brush you're using, and I really do like these angled ones. This is by MAC, but I know a lot of other brands, more affordable brands, do brushes like these. They're definitely out there. I think Blank Canvas have one, Viva have one as well, which would be a bit more affordable. So yeah, that'd be another thing I'd say, invest in a good brush. Next up is my blusher, and I'm going to be using Melba by MAC. And if any of you watched the Facebook Live over on Erica's Facebook page last week, you would have seen me talk about this one. It's definitely my favourite matte blusher that MAC do. It's just a really nice peachy pinky tone, not too in your face but still quite prominent, and really nice for this time of year, especially coming into spring and summer. And I'm using the Real Techniques blusher brush. So just a little bit of product and always kind of shake off the excess. And when I'm doing my blusher, I always smile because I just find that that's the easiest thing to do. So yeah, smiles all around. I love to put that just directly on the apple of my cheek. And again, I always do this after I do blusher. I go in with my beauty blender again and just make sure everything's blended out and that there's no harsh lines. It's just a habit, but look, I'm just going to show you exactly what I do because I want this to be as real as possible. Certainly not least, I'm going to add some highlighter. This is always my final kind of touch. And today I'm going to be using MAC Soft and Gentle, which I have spoken about before on my Snapchat. This is definitely one of MAC's most popular highlighters. It's just a really nice frosty pink tone, which I just find is good when I'm a little bit more on the paler side. And I'm going to be applying that with the MAC, I think it's the 133. Anything similar to this will work for your highlight. I just like the size of this one and how thick the bristles are, and it's just good for padding on the highlight in that particular area. But again, anything will work. There's numerous highlighter brushes out there. There's a fan brush as well, which is also quite nice, and I think nearly every brand does one of them. I spray this one with my Fix Plus. That is my #1 rule when it comes to highlighter. This is just going to give the highlighter more of a metallic look on the skin and just give it more of a sheen. And I just go right along the cheekbone, right above it, kind of blending as I go. And again on the other side. So circular motions almost. Just making sure it kind of blends into the blusher and bronzer. And once again, I'm going to go back in with my beauty blender because I always do. And I just like to make sure that I haven't gotten any in here. Sometimes I might go in a little bit too far with the brush and I don't want that to happen. So I just go over this area here. You don't want it too close up to your eye. And then I just add a little bit on my nose. I only put a tiny bit on my nose though, really tiny bit, because I find sometimes it can cause the foundation to kind of separate and things like that otherwise. And I just put a tiny bit on my forehead and above my lip. And that is it. That is my complete base done. That is exactly how I do it. And even for nights out, it's something very similar to that. But on a day-to-day basis, that is exactly how I would usually go about doing my foundation. I know I look a bit crazy right now because I have no brows on or lips or mascara or anything, but this is all I kind of wanted to show you today. And I really hope that it helps some of you and that I've answered some of your questions. I hope that you understand the Srobe Cream and the Mercier powder in more depth. So yeah, thank you so much again for watching, and I'm hoping to have a video up every single Sunday from here on in, and hoping to have a second one up on Wednesdays. So yeah, definitely Sunday for now. As I get quicker at filming and editing, there will be a second one up on Wednesdays. But for now, I shall see you next week. Thank you so much again for watching.